see out of the Raiders kicker and punter? I mean, they've been doing it for a while. How good are they?
Yeah, both very talented. Carlson and Cole. You know, Carlson has range. He's very accurate. He's been doing it. He's been doing it at a high level for a number of years now out in Vegas, and Cole is a game changer. You know, he can truly flip the field. He's very good directionally. He's got a strong leg, controls the ball well. Really, both good players that they have. Yeah, Tony jinxed us. That's no good. Yeah, we got to find a way to connect on that. He didn't hit a terrible ball on that, so we'll try to get that corrected this week.
Well, you guys were able to create a turnover right off the bat on that, causing the fumble on it. Just how much do you guys work on that specific skill during practice when you're working kickoff?
Yeah, so with the kickoff play, it's always relative to who you're going against, obviously your personnel, and the game plan changes as the game goes along. You know, there's times where you're looking to generate a return and force a return, and there's other times where you're not. In that instance, in that specific game, you know, we wanted to force early. That's not going to be the case every week, but just being able to get to the ball and priority on putting a hat to the ball when we can and swarming to the football. So I think, you know, the entire unit did a good job on, number one, getting to the returner, and then finding a way to get the ball out and get it back, put our offense in a good spot.
I think every game you've been consistent. Your first kickoff, you choose to defend the play rather than kick it out of the end zone.
It's week to week. It really is. It's week to week. So.
Him as a punt return, it seems to me like that's one of the most difficult jobs, to catch the ball and knowing you're going to get creamed. So what makes him so good at what he does?
Yeah, I would say James is very instinctive. He tracks and judges the ball extremely well. He's got good hands. And I think he just understands, and he does a really good job of preparing. He studies punters, and obviously tracks the ball well in the air, and he's done a good job. He's been a solid player for us, you know, and made a nice play at the end of the game there in the +50 situation to get the block, to save a bunch of yards and put our offense in a better spot than we would have been had he not, you know, made that block on the gunner.
How unfortunate to lose Wyatt in a situation like that, and just the state of flux of the linemen. How is that impacting you?
Yeah, so I mean, he was a great player for me. Obviously, he was on that unit. We'll replace him in some way and get that field goal unit back up and rolling. But no, Wyatt, great teammate, tough kid, tough guy.
Did DeWine just lose his footing on that? It looked like he kind of got pushed back and fell into Wyatt.
Yeah, the footwork wasn't to our standards. We'll have to clean that up.
The coverage units kind of develop over these first few games as you're getting used to the kickoff rules and how things are kind of going week to week?
Yeah, so in both punt and kickoff, or just kickoff? After that first game, after the first week, we felt like we needed to improve in some areas, and I feel like we've addressed those, and we're going to continue to improve. And it really comes down to the fundamentals of the play, you know, understanding your leverage, understanding how you're being blocked, recognizing their leverage and what they're trying to do in their scheme. So, you know, always going to just keep coaching both of those units up that way.
I was watching the Monday Nighter. The Bengals tried that onside kick. What do you think of this new? Yeah, I mean, it was tough before, but now the new onside kick rule. What do you think of that?
Well, it actually is it's really the same, because you declare for it, and then it goes back to how it was. It goes back to the previous rules. I'm trying to remember what they did on that kick. I think they hit like the high hopper.
I think so.
Yeah, they hit the high hopper on that. Yeah, I mean, look, I always say, like, if you're kicking an onside kick, you didn't do enough you didn't do enough earlier in the game to put yourself in a spot to not kick an onside kick. So, you know, I'm not in favor of really changing that play. I don't think that, you know, you should have a chance to just get back in the game after you didn't do enough earlier in the game to do so.
How many onside kicks are there? Varieties.
Varieties? Well, I will say this. So last week we inducted into the Legends Phil Dawson. When we would line up on our onside kick unit when Phil was here and Brad Sealy was the coordinator, we called it the Dawson six-pack, and he had 6 onside kicks that he would hit, and he would give a signal, and he would make the call on the field, and he'd be able to place the ball or hit a specific type of ball to a certain area, and that's how we played it. And so it was really like a check with me. I think we actually had we did. We had shirts made that said the Dawson six-pack on them. So.
Were you on the team when he recovered his own? Perfect onside kick.
I'm not sure. We probably hit too many onside kicks back then. I can't remember that one specifically.
Bubba, Trey Tucker for them,
Yeah.
their punt return. What do you see when you watch him on film?
Speed, fast. You know, this guy can get to the edge and he can run. Last year, I want to say the analytics showed on the tracking data this guy was the second fastest person in the league with the ball in his hands, and I think it came out to a conversion like he ran like a 4.24 with the ball in his hand. So that's rolling, and he's a guy that we're definitely going to have to be ready for and to, you know, have good leverage against. I don't know that. I would, if I had to guess, I would probably say him. Yeah.
Given Myles Garrett's injuries, might you have to sacrifice him on special teams, or can you still use him some?
No, I think we'll still be able to use him in his roles. I think that, you know, and like I said, all of our units are week to week and how we see the best matchup. So he's been a great team player for us. Always excited about his role.
I forget which lineman it was, but said after the game was talking about with all the injuries to the O-line, he really had to juggle stuff on whether field goal or extra point.
Yep.
Unit. So how did you wind up like getting that figured out? Just how big of a transition was it with all those bodies missing?
Yeah, so I think that's why it's important when you're going through, you know, phase 1, phase 2, OTAs, all the way through training camp. You're building on roster depth at those positions in the event that you were ever to get into a spot where you're light on numbers. You want to be able to have as many guys trained in those areas. That way, if something were to happen like that, it's like, boom, this guy, you got to go in. You've done this technique, probably not nearly as much as the other guy, but at least you have somebody that's somewhat familiar with the technique and being in there in that spot.
You want to call him D-line?
We didn't end up having to hit a kick. We didn't have to attempt a kick after that. But we've played defensive lineman on that unit before. Dalvin played on that unit last year for us at times, and you know, obviously we have other young players that are available.
It seems like Mike Ford is just always the first guy down there on punts. What makes him so good at that, and how happy are you that you guys were able to get him back in the fold?
Yeah, Mike does a great job. First off, he embraces and he embraces the kicking game and his role. He takes pride in it. He prepares extremely well, and he plays with high effort and finish. So he's been a joy to have on our unit the last 2 years.
Along those lines with Tony and forcing that fumble on the first play, just what do you think of the way he used his shoulder and made that play?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he actually, you know, I feel like sometimes when the play's happening that fast, I don't know if he actually meant to like use his shoulder to get the ball out. Maybe he did, but it's a bang play. We were fortunate to get it out. He did a great job last week as well. Thank you.
assess just how Deshaun played in that game?
Yeah, I mean, I think like a lot of games, you know, there you look at it, you sit down and you evaluate, you grade it, and there's things that we can improve on. There's things that we did really well, you know, and I think you know, right now mentally, you know, he's playing mentally tough. He's really, you know, staying in games and you know, giving us a chance to win, you know, and really battling out there for us. So. There's a lot of good things that you see on the field. There's a lot of good things that go unnoticed with him right now. But then obviously, like all guys, when you evaluate, there's things we could do better. You know, so that's whether it's Deshaun, anybody on our roster, and after playing in a game.
Ken, along those lines, Kevin was saying the other day that protection is on everybody. What kind of role can you have in kind of tightening that up for Deshaun? Yeah,
I think it's the big thing for us is just. Playing decisive, you know, and making sure that you know, we're doing a great job with him, you know, understanding exactly what you know, why things are in, what the thought process is. All right, if you know, this happens, here's what we got, and here are our outlets. And you know, we talk a lot about having just a really good OST thought process. So like, you know, in a situation, hey, things break down or things aren't there, just outlet, scramble, throw away, you know, in our minds. So, you know, we want to continue to harp on those things, continue to, you know, do whatever we can to make sure that we're keeping them clean. And to Kevin's point, it takes all 11 to do that. And obviously, you know, from the quarterback position, you know, to everybody on the roster.
It's been a long time since we've seen this many protection issues. I realize the injuries last week were a factor. Was the blocking scheme kind of overhauled this offseason, or is the offensive line being asked to do something different from a schematic standpoint than they were, you know, the previous couple of years?
Yeah, I think when we came in and we evaluated, obviously, you know, I think there was a lot of good things that we kept, you know, and I wouldn't say there was a, you know, massive overhaul or anything like that. I think, you know, when you look at it at the end of the day, it's, you know, we got to execute better from top to bottom. We got to coach it better. We got to execute better, you know, and make sure that we're doing the things to, you know, mix it up on a defense and try to keep them off balance to make sure that they can't, you know, get vertical and keep them guessing as well. So I think you really saw that as the, you know, stretches of that game where we got into a rhythm, we got moving the ball, we were protecting, and we were doing a lot of good things. You know, it's just the consistency of doing that and the execution piece from the coaching standpoint all the way down.
Ken, you guys have dealt with you know, injuries to your offensive line. What have you seen from Zach Center as he stepped into his role?
Yeah, I thought Zach came in and really battled, you know, and you know, he fought, he strained. You know, there's like you know, the question with Deshaun, there's obviously some things that, you know, we could look at and improve on, but he's a young player that every rep he's going to learn from, and every rep he's going to continue to get better. So it was great to see him, you know, out there battling and doing things to help us out there, and he'll continue to grow and definitely excited about the you know, potential that he gives us, you know, coming in and being able to have a guy that we could depend on who now has some game reps under his belt in the regular season.
Ken, the Browns are averaging about 3.5 yards on first down. That's a really low number. Why is it, and how do you fix that?
I mean, and I hate to be vague and dodge, you know, but it's an execution, you know, and that's what it comes down to. We just gotta, you know, we gotta make sure we're coaching it. We gotta make sure that we're, you know, putting our guys in the spots and we're going out there and executing from top to bottom, you know. So it starts with us as coaches, and then you know, in terms of the teaching, and it goes all the way through. So whenever you're in a situation like that, you know, it's not one thing. It's something that we just gotta, like, you know, really focus on, really make sure that we're preaching the execution piece and everybody doing their job, you know, and not pressing, not trying to do too much, you know, just really focused on, hey, like, everybody, let's do our job, and that's from us as coaches to the all the way down to the players.
Can I just follow up real quick? How important is it to change that number?
Oh yeah, I think. No, yeah, I mean, I think, first and second down production's big, and anytime you can, produce on first and second down, that's going to help you sustain drives. It's going to help you on third down. So, it's something that, we're making sure to continue to focus on, continue to work at, and look, I think, the thing that us as coaches and players understand, when you're in a situation like that, coming off a game like that where, yeah, everybody's pissed. Everybody wanted to win that game, The only way to get through it is to put your head down and grind. You got to work, you got to grind through it. You got to, figure out ways to, just come out and not try to do too much, do our job and go out and execute.
Sorry.
No, all good, all good.
The fourth down decision Deshaun made to keep the ball, where it looks like maybe he could have thrown to Jordan Akins. He said yesterday Akins was the decoy. Can you kind of explain that play to us, kind of what he was supposed to do there?
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously I don't want to get into like specifics of reads and how we're doing things, but it's just, it all falls back to just our execution from top to bottom, going out and executing at a better level, in a situation like that, and that's everybody, not just Deshaun, that's all players involved, right there. And I think when you look at a lot of plays, you could freeze frame something and say, hey, could have done this, could have done that. But in that position, in that viewpoint in which the quarterback has, you really have to trust your eyes and trust what you see and trust your progressions. And so that's something that, we will look at and continue to evaluate that play, every play.
Ken, the Giants' blitz rate was over 50%, I think. Did that surprise you guys? And given the success they had, you guys have to prepare for that going forward?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's one of those things where, we got a lot of pressure in that game. And so, I think that's something that moving forward, yeah, you always want to make sure you're, even if a defense didn't show it or whatever, it's something you want to always prepare for and make sure you're ready for, and that's what, for us as coaches, we want to prepare for all contingencies, whether it's, hey, pressure, whether it's a one high team that all of a sudden comes out and plays a bunch of two high. So, you don't want to chase ghosts, but you want to make sure you're handling, the different possibilities and you're able to pivot. And I thought, you kind of saw us there, as the game went on, pivot and do some really good things and sustain, get some drives going. We just got to, again, be from an execution standpoint, be more consistent right there.
When we talked to you at the beginning of this season, I think, Ken, you kind of said it's going to take a while for this new offense to start clicking. So is that what we're seeing here?
I think, when you're looking at the situation we're in right now, it's going to be one of those things where there really aren't, any excuses you're going to make, like we're not in that business. We're in the business of going out and executing on Sunday. So, no matter what the situation is for us, we got to grind. We got to go out, work our tails off to put us in position to win a game on Sunday, no matter, if it's running the ball, throwing the ball, whatever that is, so we're not going to sit and make excuses about, should we done this? Could we have done that? It's about going out, executing at a high level that we know we're capable of doing.
Ken, a bit of a big picture question. We've talked about how passing numbers are down across the league, and through the first couple weeks of the season, it seems like rushing numbers are the highest it's been since like 2000. Just what do you think about that cycle, that trend, and maybe what's contributing to it?
I mean, I think, the league is such a, evolving every year, every week. There's such an evolution, and I think with the, role that quarterbacks are playing now in this league and how good they're getting and how good the skill guys are getting, you see defenses trying to do things obviously to stop that, and it's opening up other things. So, I think from our aspect, we always want to put our guys in position to go out and be successful and move the football and score points. So, it's something that, based off the week and based off the game plan and what we're seeing, we're always going to try to attack those areas. So, I think league-wide, you just see that, and you see, what teams are trying to do and the adjustments that offenses are making.
Ken, when the season started, the questions about Deshaun were shoulder health. Seems to have passed that test, but do you think the mental part of his game is still rusty?
It's a good question. I think, Deshaun's played a lot of football, and he's got a ton of experience, and he's got it in, some big time games, and he's seen a lot of different defenses. So when I sit and look and evaluate, and grade and whatnot after games, there's a lot of good things. There's a lot of great decisions, and some of them, it might look like a bad decision at times because he's just throwing the ball away or dirting the ball because things are covered. You know what I mean? So I think there's a lot of good in there that goes noticed. There's a lot of good that goes unnoticed. And then there's things that we can improve on. And that's him and that's everybody. So we'll continue to do that. He's going to continue to grow as a player with what we're doing and become more and more comfortable. And, I think he's kind of the tip of the spear for us in a lot of ways, and he's going to be somebody who's going to help us win a lot of games.
And that, he's never going to ask for more quarterback runs. He's a thrower, not a runner. You've had quarterbacks that run. Do you need or want that to be a bigger part of your offense, the quarterback run?
Well, I think at the end of the day, Deshaun does a lot for us to help us win football games, and he will do a lot for us to help us win football games. And I think you've seen in the first 3 games, he's made some great plays, with his feet and his ability to extend plays and make plays that way. Obviously, he scored the touchdown in Jacksonville on a designed one. So, there's things that he's going to do that's special and make plays with his feet. But at the same time, we're obviously continue to focus on the pocket stuff and whether it's in the pocket, whether it's designed, getting outside the pocket and things like that. Because the improvisions that he makes kind of leads you to some of those runs and whatnot.
Guys on the offensive line have talked about the navigating the blocking for his gameplay specifically. You mentioned extending those plays. As a coach, though, is that something that you guys focus on for them, not just their individual and scheme techniques, but those techniques for Deshaun specifically in those moments?
Yeah, no, and I think it's a great question because when you do have a guy who's mobile and can make a guy miss in the pocket and extend plays and things like that, the natural, it's a little different for those guys up front, and so I know Andy does a great job, working with those guys to understand that, hey, when they do break contain, here's thoughts, and here's what you can do, and if you get in a position, where we don't want to get the holding, sometimes you got to let them go, and sometimes you got to, make sure that we don't get called for one because you're tugging a guy as he's leaving the pocket and whatnot. So, there's definitely some things that those guys learn and kind of talk through, with that playing style. But also there's an instinctual level to it that I think those guys up front kind of have a feel for that you've seen, to kind of help with some of those things as well.
It seems like pre-snap had a negative domino effect offensively, blocking that affects the quarterback, then it affects the receivers, then it affects the run game. How do you, 3 games into the season, stop the domino effect and also at the same time, correct or fix all of these issues that you're having in the middle of the season?
No,
it seems
good
like it's
question.
hard to do.
Yeah, look, I think the natural tendency is like, all right, I want to do more. I want to, or I need to have the perfect play in, or I need to call the perfect play. You know what I mean? It's like, it's in this league, it's not possible. It's hard. I mean, you will get the right call sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's about doing your job, and going out, not trying to do any more or any less than that. Like, go out, like, let's all focus on, hey, come in, grind, work our tails off. It's a blue collar group in there that works, that works incredibly hard, that has a lot of pride and wants to go out and do well for this city and for these fans, and that's where our heart is. That's what we believe in. So it's one of those things where, we just got to go out, go in here, meeting rooms, practice field, do our jobs, focus on us, focus on our execution, at the end of the day and grind and make sure that we're doing the things to put ourselves in position, because you win games obviously on how you play Sunday, but also starts, Monday through Saturday. So I think those steps and just not trying to do too much and continue to focus on all of us, doing our job, and us as coaches preparing the guys as best we can to make sure they're ready to go and fly around on Sunday.
And I know Amari had been a little tough on himself in the first 2 weeks of the season, and then obviously getting those 2 touchdowns on Sunday. He talked about he felt like it was a good starting point. Just what have you seen? He's talked about like that different focus and practice. Like what have you guys seen from him in that regard?
Yeah, I think when you watched him last week, it was fun to watch him kind of get out there and make those types of plays. He's a big part of our offense. He's a big part of obviously what we do in a lot of ways, and defenses has to account for him. And when they do account for him, hopefully that we got other guys who are able to make plays if they're trying to really focus on him and take him away. And that's where the balance of it. And I think we kind of talked about it a little bit last week from a quarterback perspective. You can't force feed somebody. You can't, you got to trust your eyes and trust your progressions, and the ball is going to find the open guy. And last week it was Amari in a lot of ways and in big ways for us. So we're going to continue to do that and hopefully continue to put Amari and our other playmakers in position to make plays for us, and he did a great job of taking advantage of that, and to his point, hopefully it's the start of a good run for us. All right. Thank you all. I pulled for both, but went to more A's games. Did on part and just